Eric Bibb playing live today in Studio V, old Lead Belly tune in the latest CD, which is called Lead Belly's Gold, right? A celebration of that music.
Yeah.
You said you heard that. It goes way back to your childhood. You had a really interesting childhood. Musicians in the home all the time, huh?
I did. I'm blessed to have been immersed, marinated in some of the great music and friendship from some of the great musicians from that whole period in the 50s and 60s when folk music was coming back, when you could find the Weavers on the hit parade in 1952, I believe it was, might have been earlier, with Goodnight Irene, before they were not heard on the radio. And my dad's friends included Pete Seeger, Odetta, Judy Collins, Josh White, Millard Lampell from the Almanac Singers was a good friend who taught me all the Woody Guthrie songs he knew. Yeah, it was magical.
When you were a kid and people like Odetta were coming to your house or Pete Seeger, did you realize their stature, or were they just like folks who were friends of your dad's?
Well, Pete came over when I was 3 years old for the first time and used my teddy bear to play his banjo. So I thought my teddy bear could play the banjo.
There you go.
After that, I'd see them in concert. You know, I'd see the Weavers at Carnegie Hall or Town Hall in New York. And I realized that these were people who were famous to a degree, you know. I'd see my dad on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I realized that, gosh, you know, my friends on the block didn't have fathers who were on the Ed Sullivan Show. So I was pretty aware that it was... but on the other hand, we had a pretty, you know, normal upbringing, you know, playing around on the block, playing basketball. I grew up in Queens, so there were grass and trees and playgrounds. And later we moved to Manhattan, and then it got a little bit more rarefied. I was aware that not everybody had, Judy Collins come over for dinner or something like that, you know. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was special, unusual. And at the same time, like I said, fortunately, my parents kept us with our feet on the ground, you know. So I was connected to just normal things kids do. I was a Cub Scout for a quick minute.
Would you pull out your guitar and play with some of those folks?
Well, what I did was often my dad would have rehearsals at home with wonderful guitar players who accompanied him throughout his career. And that was a treat because it meant that I had somehow access to wonderful instruments at an early age. Yeah. I had my own guitars, which were not million-dollar instruments, but I certainly knew what a great Martin was when I was young, you know. Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that Bob Dylan, when you were maybe, 11 or 12, gave you some advice about how to play your guitar. Do you remember, what was that line?
Oh, I remember in detail. My dad had what he called a showbiz party where he invited his peers and colleagues to come over for dinner. It was the kind of thing that people did once in a while just to keep their names out there, you know. And late on a December evening, I was talking in the living room. We lived in Queens, in a big house in Queens, and I was in conversation with Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I finished my conversation, and I went up to bed because my parents were saying it's getting late, and I wanted to hang around because I heard that Dylan was supposed to be attending this party, but he didn't show up by the time I was, you know, shooed up to bed. So I went upstairs, and I lay awake for a while, and then I heard a kind of a rising crescendo, and I realized something unusual was happening, and I snuck down the stairs, and there was Bob Dylan. You know, this is 1960, I'm 11, so this is 1962. This is the freewheeling Bob Dylan who walks in looking that way, and people crowded around and wanted to, you know, schmooze with him, and I finally got a chance to sidle up to him in my pajamas and bathrobe, and I said, I play guitar too. And he decided he'd have a conversation with me. Maybe he was tired of all these, you know, adults. And we talked for a couple of minutes, and he just said, you know, keep it simple. He said, forget all that fancy stuff. And I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah, I never met him after that. That was the one time that I was, in conversation with Bob Dylan, and never happened again. And I kind of wish that I'd have an opportunity just to thank him for the amount of media attention I've gotten because I had that conversation with him. I could say, Bob, thanks, man.
50 years later, still good.
Yeah, I'm still talking about you, man.
Well, it's a good story, though. We're talking with Eric Bibb. His show is tonight at the Foundation. And then you're heading off, what, Points Beyond quickly, right?
Oh, I think we're going to, goodness. I don't know. I'm headed up to Toronto for the Maple Blues Awards.
Right.
I've been nominated for, I think it's called the B.B. King International Blues Artist Award.
Wow.
And that'll be fun to be up there. I'll convene with some of my good buddies there, Michael Jerome Brown, Harrison Kennedy. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And we'll be around in the States for about a month. I'll get as far west as, Jesus, where am I going? I think I'm going to Minneapolis, maybe further west than that. Wisconsin would be, we'll be around.
Nice. And again, the show tonight, the Foundation right here at the campus of Isothermal Community College in Spindale, 7:30, getting that show underway. What's your web address? If people want to learn more about you, where can they get
ericbibb.com.
Nice and easy with 2 B's, 3 B's, I guess.
Yeah.
B-I-B-B, Eric Bibb. All right. What's your next song today?